Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, in the earlier videos, we did look about the ethics and human interface, determinants of ethics, morals and values, ethics and values, and stuff. In this video, we'll be looking into the different dimensions of ethics. Let's get into the video. The dimensions of ethics include descriptive ethics, meta ethics, and normative ethics, and applied ethics. In this video, we'll be looking at only the descriptive, meta, and normative ethics, while in the next lecture, we'll be detailedly looking about the applied ethics. So let's get into the topic. Descriptive ethics. It deals with people what actually believe to be right or wrong. It evaluates actually humans based on the law and customs. The societies have structure, each society has different structure of moral principles which keep changing accordingly and expect people to behave according to the society structure. It is also called as comparative ethics because it compares the ethics of past and present. In the example, we can take it as in India, attitude towards the homosexuality has evolved over time. Initially, there was cultural acceptance, that is during ancient medieval periods. We have read about that. But during the British colonial rule, the laws were introduced to criminalize the same-sex relationship. However, in the recent scenario, there has been a notable shift in recent years, particularly among the younger generation and urban population in support of the LGBTQ rights. So that's why descriptive ethics helps us in understanding the changing moral beliefs and values, which also reflect the dynamic nature of social attitudes. So it can be also said as value-free approach to ethics and does not make judgment about morality of practices and belief, but simply describes the practices observed in different groups or different societies. So hope you guys are clear with descriptive ethics. It deals with people, what people actually believe to be right or wrong, but it does not make any judgment about the morality of the practices. Next, we will be dealing with meta ethics. Meta ethics on its part does not propound any moral principles or goal for action, but it is really interested in the classification and philosophical understanding. Like, it does not consider whether an action is good or bad, rather it questions what good action is or what good morality is and badness of morality is. Like scholars like J.L. Mackey investigate the nature and foundation of ethics itself. It asks the following questions like what is the meaning, what is the nature, what is the function of ethical terms like right, wrong, good or bad. So this is something meta ethics asks about. So meta ethics does not consider whether an action is good or bad, rather it questions it. It seeks to comprehend the philosophical underpinnings of ethics and concepts involved. Like there are two types of metaethics. There's two categories of metaethics. Like one is meta issues and metaphysical issues. Meta issues deal with the fundamental issues like why it is important to be ethical and what it is important determinant of ethics, be it reason or emotion and so on. Example, philosophers like Ayn Rand consider reason as the foundation of ethical principles. But on the other hand, philosophers like Mahatma Gandhi use the human conscience as the foundation of ethical norms. So it deals with the fundamental issues of two different perspectives of which one is right, of why it is important to be ethical, whether reason or human conscience, or what is the most important determinant of ethics. Next comes the physical, metaphysical issues. This branch clearly deals with the cosmic concerns such as whether ethics is an absolute cosmic reality or built by humans. Example, Bhagavad Gita says that every entity, be it energy, soul, molecules, planet, has a predetermined path that it must follow in order to achieve salvation. Like this example shows that ethical standards not only apply to humans but also to the entire cosmic universe. So now let us deal with normative ethics. So it deals with how one should act and behave in society, and it's also called prescriptive ethics. It anticipates the rational justification and teaches a lesson to any person who disturb the social and moral order. Like Aristotle's virtue ethics, Immanuel Kant's deontological ethics, or some examples of normative ethics. It has different branches: utilitarianism, deontology, and virtue ethics. Let's look into them one by one. Starting from utilitarianism, it belongs to a larger family of ethical theory known as consequentialism. Consequentialism is again a part of an example of normative ethics. It holds results of an action determine whether it is right or wrong. It brings into the condition that the action is right if it brings benefit for the great numbers, high numbers. Example, when a terrorist is sentenced to death, more people are happy. So that is an example for utilitarianism. However, there are some limitations too. Nobody knows where the line between good and evil should be placed because no action can be completely horrible. In this part, we can say, for example, again we can bring it to example for, let's say, a person is attending a job interview along with other candidates. What happens is, let's say one person gets the job. If one person is getting the job, other candidates get rejected because there is only one vacancy. So what here happens is, happiness is achieved for one person but at the expense of other people's happiness. This is something where the line cannot be placed at one particular place. Next one is oversimplifies the morality. See, nobody knows where the line between good and evil should be placed, because of which it takes time and it's practically impossible to achieve. Considering the repercussions of every decision taking a significant amount of time and effort, prediction sometimes may not be true because such events occur rarely and rarely occur in predictable frame. Next, let us deal with the deontology. Deontology focuses on rightness or wrongness of action rather than the consequences of those actions. According to deontological approach, a civil servant must follow the given rules and regulations without regard for the consequences. The consequences can be good and bad. So different theories of deontology are Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative, where he gives two principles: universality, which says that moral law should be applicable to all people, and by the principle of reciprocity, which says we should do as we want to do. Such promise of morality is found among various religious systems: Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, etc. Next theories of deontology is moral absolutism. Moral absolutism is something, but it believes that there are absolute standards against which moral question can be judged. Where again, this can be said like certain actions are right while others are wrong, regardless of the art, regardless of the end situation. We can say it as stealing is wrong. Okay, stealing is wrong. Say absolutism says stealing is wrong, but it ignores the fact that sometimes that wrong act is done to reach out the right consequences. Like a young person or a child of 15, 20, 17 age who steals bread or food from a hotel or bakery to feed their younger siblings who have been starving in hunger for few days, it ignores that fact. Moral absolutism ignores that fact. Next comes divine command theory. It says that action is right if God has decreed it to be right. According to this theory, the rightness of any action depends upon that action being performed because it is the duty, not because of any good consequences arising from it. It says that, to make it in simpler terms, it says that the actions which we perform are not just only actions, but it is our duty. And it's not because it gives only good consequences, but it is duty. This is something deontology explains us about. Next, let us get into the limitations. Cannot be followed rigidly. So it can produce results that many people may find unacceptable. Where in a city where when a decision is taken, it should consider all the stakeholders into consideration. Like you cannot favor one set of people, leaving other people or affecting other people. So deontology does that. Following deontology rigidly can produce results which many people might find unacceptable. Next, ignores the consequences of action for the majority of people. Like some might argue that by ignoring the consequences of action, deontology has missed an important aspect of the ethical decision making. Like if you build a dam, eventually large number of people must be put in different places. Environmental disturbance might occur, yes, but you look into only the positive aspect of that action and leave out the negative aspects. So that is what deontology comes into or does that. Next, ignores the consequences of action. Yes, as I said that it ignores the consequences of action for the majority of people. Like you cannot favor one group of people over the other group of people. This deontology might bring in the consequences which is not liked or favored by all. Next, coming to the virtue ethics. So virtue ethics the foundation was led by Plato. So it focuses on person's virtues, be it qualities, values, rather than his conduct or actions. It focuses more on the person, about his values and qualities rather than his action, and assumes that if a person is good when he has good values and he does good deeds. Examples of virtues would be hope, love, purity, goodness, integrity, dignity, value, etc. For civil servants, virtue ethics are very, very important, because when a civil servant is a virtuous man, he will command the respect of the people, and eventually people will accept him or her easily, and all the decisions taken by a civil servant will be influenced by his values, and it should be noted that values do not change overnight. Now let us look into the limitations of virtue ethics. Cultural relativism. Different people, cultures, and society often have vastly different opinions on what constitutes a virtue. Like honesty in India could be considered different. In other parts of the world, it will be considered different. So that is something cultural relativism. It differs from culture to culture, people to people, society to society. Next one is lack of guidance. Considering the rules of with consequentialist or deontological theories, virtue ethics lacks the specific guidance which can make it difficult to determine right course of action. Like consequentialist or deontological theories mention specific action or give some guidance which virtue ethics does not give. Individual focus. It primarily focuses on the moral character of individual rather than addressing the broader issues of society, which is again a limitation in virtue ethics. The lack of moral conflicts resolution. It does not provide a clear framework for resolving conflicts between different virtues. Like when you get a conflict between honesty um, and love or courage, it does not give a clear framework on how to deal with both together. So that is something virtue ethics lacks at. So in this lecture we did see about applications or dimensions of ethics, descriptive ethics, normative ethics, meta ethics and stuff. In the next video we will be looking into the applied ethics in a detailed manner. Hope you guys understood today's video. Do comment your doubts in the lecture, and we will try to respond it as soon as possible. And do like, share, and support the channel and the video. So thank you guys. We'll resume with another video soon.